What's up, Jim?
Welcome to That Rocks. No Eddie Trunk this week. The man's a busy man.
Yeah, but he will be back next week with us. With on the 15th, we will be back with a live show with our special guest Marty Friedman, all the way from Japan.
How long has he been living over there now?
It's got to be probably 30 years now.
So after he left Megadeth, I don't know the whole history on him. After he left Megadeth, he pretty much just decided to move to Japan.
Yeah, I guess that's, he loves the culture over there, the language, the people, and he's made a great career over there. And then, obviously, eventually, you sort of, you miss being in the States, you miss having a career here. And he kind of relaunched like 6-7 years ago back in the States. And now he's, now he tours around kind of regularly. He has a new album out, so obviously we're going to talk about that. But we'll find out the whole story when we talk to him.
So he has a pretty big career over there in Japan.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those bands, even back in the day, they were bigger over in Japan than they were in the States. They'd have to go over to Japan to make it. It was crazy.
Yeah, so I hope your roommate Trunk is doing all right. Yeah, Eddie's fine. It's hard. He's a hard man to track down sometimes, but he couldn't do today, unfortunately. He is okay though.
He's doing his live show right now. We wanted to, because he just interviewed the all of Motley Crue in New York.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to. I didn't get a chance to hear the interview, but I wanted to ask Eddie what was going on with that, how it was, and all that. And he saw him that they did a private show at the Bowery Ballroom.
Yeah, which there was
in New York City.
Mixed reviews of that, but I don't know.
Yeah, but when you're taking audio off an iPhone, it's not a good mix.
No.
No, look, we record our stand-up sets on an iPhone. It sounds great, but when you got that music blaring like that, it's not a good mix.
No, I agree, man. I'm just curious, man. I'm just curious what Motley's going to do now, because they've really made their bread and butter on this return via package tours. And like, who else can they team up with to kind of keep the momentum going?
Yeah, I don't know. They're not doing that many shows. They're doing some festivals and a couple like casinos and all that. So I don't know how much touring they're going to be doing in 2024. So maybe they're waiting for 2025 to do something, maybe with Def Leppard again next summer.
Right. Yeah. I just think at this point, they kind of, of course they can go out and do shows and they can still sell an okay amount of tickets, but they really sort of relied on going out with bigger bands and making a package deal. Obviously, Nicky was trying to sort of psychically will a tour with Guns N' Roses to happen by putting little feelers out on his social media. And I don't think anything came of that unless there's something going on behind the scenes. But that would be a great tour.
Yeah. Well, Guns N' Roses taking some time off, right? Taking a year off or so.
Yeah. They don't have any dates at all this year, I don't think.
Right. So, look, maybe next summer, maybe it's Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue in stadiums, or it's Motley Crue, Def Leppard, and somebody else, in a stadium again. But I don't know. Look, when you come around that one time and you're doing stadiums and you kind of blow your load and you're doing, 45, 50,000 people in every city, do you need to see it again right away, like, 6-8 months later?
Yep. Yeah, then that's just the diehards coming out, and that's not enough to really, keep the machine turning. That's Motley's it's a business.
Yeah, so we'll see, but that's cool that he got that interview and the whole band did it. They rarely do interviews and the whole band together, which is great.
Yeah. So, well, maybe they'll go out with Bon Jovi if Bon Jovi tours again.
Yeah, I don't think Bon Jovi would do that. He doesn't really like to be associated with hard rock or metal.
That's true. Not anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. He's always been like that, because I think he even turned down our show because he didn't like the title, right? He wasn't going to go on a show called That Metal Show.
Yeah. No, correct. And yeah, I mean, obviously he moved away. And for people, I don't know if people out there have seen the Bon Jovi documentary. Did you end up finish watching it, Jim?
No, but hey, maybe he can come on That Rocks because that doesn't have metal in the title. You know, because there's
Well,
songs that Bon Jovi did that rock, so maybe he can come on That Rocks. It's not as big an audience, but
yeah, but that look, we got to get Eddie on the case there because maybe he was talking about maybe getting John for the radio show, so maybe we could get a double dip with John because the documentary is really good. I mean, I
didn't. I only watched the first 2 episodes, so I still got 2 more. So don't tell me the ending, because I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, are they going to?
Yeah, John
is Bon Jovi still a band? Is there going to be an album? I mean,
well, there's definitely going to be an album that we know because
I know it comes out in June. Yeah,
and they're opening. I don't know if this was out there or not. I don't know if I'm supposed to say
it is. It is out there. It is.
What about the restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bon Jovi's opening a restaurant on soft opening June the 6th during CMA week down in Nashville. So right there on Broadway. So
what does CMA stand for?
It stands for a lot of different things. If you ask a country music fan, they'll tell you it's the Country Music Association. If you ask Andrew Dice Clay, people can use their imagination.
No, it's called Cunt Mouth Asshole. That's what he has that in one of his special, the CMA, Cunt Mouth and Asshole.
Yeah, that's a whole different festival. So.
Okay, so they're opening that country music, and then he's got an album coming out in June too, right?
Yeah. So there will be an album. Obviously, the through line of the whole documentary is about his voice, and is he going to ever get back to where he's going to be at least good enough to do one, last tour around the world? This is the 40th anniversary of the first Bon Jovi album, so. Are they going to be able to get it in? Is he going to be okay in time? I mean, it sort of leaves you hanging, will he be able to get back to at least close to what he was?
Yeah. No, the first 2 episodes was good. It's like, after 7,800 degrees Fahrenheit, the second record, then they brought in Desmond Child as a songwriter.
Yeah.
The first album was okay. The second one was okay. They were pretty good, but they weren't a mega band. And then they brought him in for Slippery When Wet, brought in the outside. Desmond Childs wrote some great songs and wrote some songs with him. The whole band blew up from there.
Yeah. I just read his book, by the way. So there's a bunch of more stories about writing with John and Richie. And I mean, obviously, you give Love a Bad Name, Living on a Prayer, those are songs they wrote with Desmond. So, but man, I give John credit, man. He lays it all out there. He knows it wasn't good the last time around. And you said it's amazing. It's like an Olympic trainer, what he's done with his voice, between vocal warm-ups and cool downs and surgery and lasers and all that stuff, man. I mean, the guy is, he really is like, he's the guy that you can't tell you can't do something because he's gonna find a way to do it. So, we'll see.
Yeah, it's funny because they're showing a lot of old clips for them back in their prime. John running around the stage like a maniac, going crazy. He'd only bring an acoustic guitar out for, Wanted Dead or Alive. And then there was one moment in the, I think it was the second episode, where he goes, man, if I was even 80%, I'd be the best front man in rock and roll. I'm like, come on, dude. Have you seen Mick Jagger at 80 years old? And just, I hate when the singers get older and they start playing the guitar half the concert, when they used to move around a lot. And then all of a sudden they got a guitar. They already got 2 other guitar players in the band, and they're just playing some rhythm, and then they don't move around as much when the singer's got the guitar. All the singers do that shit.
Yeah. Well,
John started doing that. And then he rarely moved around. Then he would take it off for, 7 out of, the 18 songs that they did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when he plays, there's 3 guitars in that band now. And obviously it's a completely different band, with John and then Phil X filling in for Richie and Hugh McDonald, playing bass. And this guy, John Shanks, is the other guitar player. And there's a backup singer, percussionist. I mean, it's him and David from the original days, him and David Bryan. So,
well, and kind of Tico.
And Tico, right? Yep.
Yeah. So no, I'm looking forward to the other two. It's good so far, definitely. And yeah, you know, they got Richie in there, and Richie's being honest, which is great. You know, they didn't take him out, because I remember that Kiss documentary that came out, right? Oh, well, I guess Peter and Ace wanted to get paid like an absorbent amount of money, but they weren't in it, or they were barely in it, or something like that. So you didn't really get their side.
You didn't get fresh. Yeah, you didn't get new interviews with those guys, and they could have easily done that with Richie, but they said no. You know, let him speak, and you know, listen. And now, you know, I get Richie's now. He's griping a little bit now in the press that, you know, they really didn't tell his side of it, but yeah. Even if he was still in the band, it's, you know, these people sit down for hours and hours and answer questions, and they, you know, they can only put in what they can put in. You can't have every single thing that you said put in a documentary. I sat for 2 hours for the Quiet Riot documentary, and I got about 20 seconds in it, which I was fine with. That's exactly what I figured I'd get out of it. So I think Richie had his say in there, and I think that they, you know, they didn't bury him in terms of like revealing, you know, all Richie's issues. You know
I didn't know that Richie's bitching about it a little, saying I didn't see that yet. Okay.
Yeah. So, but like I said, even if he was in a band, Jim, there's only so much stuff you could put in, and that's a 4-part documentary. That's like 4+ hours of stuff that they put in there. I mean, you can only use so much stuff.
The only complaint I have of it so far is I had to subscribe to Hulu to watch it.
Yeah, that's true, right?
That shit streaming service fucking sucks. I can't. I'm going to finish it tonight just so I can cancel it before I even have to pay anything.
Right.
I hate when there's something I've had to do that. Yeah, I did a free trial. I did Hulu, and what's the other one? Peacock, another one awful. Yeah. I did it for a football game, and I fucking canceled that right away. I don't want those shit fucking. I don't need to see NYPD blue reruns on there, or whatever the fuck shit stuff they got on there.
Yeah, that I could see on 100 other free channels.
You know, all these streaming channels keep coming out, and still Netflix just fucking blows them out of the water. No question. The documentaries I have on the Tom Brady roast this past Sunday, still blowing everyone away.
Yeah, well, yeah, Netflix has definitely taken they took a turn for the worse. They lost a lot of subscribers, and then they took a turn back the other way. And so, yeah, it's gotten better again than it was. So, but yeah, there's only so many of these things you could subscribe to. So yeah, get the free trial, watch the Bon Jovi documentary, then cancel it before you got to pay a penny. You beat the system. Nice.
Exactly. But yeah, so we'll see. I mean, yeah, so far so good with the documentary. And then we also had, speaking of vocal issues, we had, I noticed it's a couple of weeks old, the story, but the Don Henley got caught lip syncing.
So there's a YouTube video floating around with a guy kind of breaking it down. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing. Maybe when we have Eddie, we'll, because this is Eddie's, this is where Eddie likes to shine in the lip syncing department. But have you seen the actual video, Jim?
Yeah, well, some sound engineer, and he basically, he's, the last couple of concerts, he's listening to the audio, and it's the same exact, even the crowd noise and everything. He's like, there's no way it could be the exact same tone in a different arena. So he's basically using an old show that he sounded pretty good on, and he's lip syncing from that. It's a live show, but it's a recorded show. So he's lip syncing on that show that sounded good, I guess, and just lip syncing over that, because you don't want to sound like the studio, because then everyone knows it's definitely. So what they do is they take it, oh yeah, it's a little rough, and you can tell it's live, and then they just lip sync on that. So they said that between those two shows that he's put up, there's no way they would sound, the sound waves are exactly alike, and it's impossible. Yeah,
it's you can go on YouTube and just type in Don Henley of the Eagles busted lip syncing, and you'll find this guy's breakdown of it. Even though, and you're right, Jim, that's what many singers do in rock, unfortunately, is exactly what you said. They get a good show under their belt, or maybe it's a show from like 10 years ago, that where they were still kind of, nailing it. But I listened to that, man. Even if it's a legit show, it still sounds too perfect to me. So there's definitely shenanigans going on there.
Look, I just know as a comic, I would not be traveling, get on connecting flights, taking Ubers from the airport, staying in shitty hotels, no sleep, playing these clubs for them to play an old stand-up set of mine, and I'm lip syncing it up there. I'd be like, what am I doing here? Why did I fly to fucking Tampa, go through all this bullshit with delays, everything else, come down here, and I'm not even performing? They're putting on a tape, and I'm lip syncing to that stand-up set. I'd be like, this is dumb. I'm not doing this. I don't care if I can make money, but I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just faking it.
Well, that's the reason the Bon Jovi thing is fascinating, because you're trying to, you're rooting for the guy to get his voice back, because he's saying, if I can't do this, at least at 80%, I'm not going out again. If I can't be great, it's not going to get done. He's not going to do that, even though he has everybody in his band sings, and he can maybe hide it if he really has to, but he's not going to do that. So I respect that, man. You're right, Jim. I mean, and the prices what's the cheapest ticket at an Eagles concert? Probably $250.
Maybe, and that's nosebleed, 250 nosebleed, maybe behind the stage. I remember wanting to go see him a few years ago. It was like $450, and I said, "Fuck that, I'm not doing it."
Yeah, $450. You could just put on the Eagles' greatest hits at home. That's what you're listening to.
You can go on YouTube. I love it because they got all these old concerts and great footage of those bands in their prime. If you got a big screen, you crank that with a good stereo system. You crack open a couple of beers. It's just as good. But yeah, I would never do it. If I got to the point where I just couldn't perform and I'm lip syncing my stand-up act, I'm like, fuck this. I'll just stay home.
Yeah, just make me a hologram already.
I mean, they probably got like 75 people in the band. They can't cover up those they can't sing with them. They can't have some backup girls, just in the background singing with them. Right,
like what Motley does, Aerosmith too. Aerosmith does the same thing. Buck Johnson, the keyboard player, he sings. He sings the whole show with Steven.
Right.
Doesn't mean Steven's not great. It's just, he doubles his voice in a lot of places. And that's all right. He's out there on the stage. So, that's embarrassing, man. When you're charging $400, $500, $6,000 for a ticket and you're basically listening to the record, not cool at all. So glad that guy called it out.
Yeah.
Kerry King did his first live show without Slayer. And he says it definitely will not, the return to Slayer will definitely not turn into a tour or new music, which means 100% count on a tour and new music from Slayer.
Well, I was surprised that he did like 6 Slayer songs in the set. Usually when a guy breaks off with his band, they don't do any of the old stuff. They just concentrate on the whole new album.
Yeah,
but but they also did. I think they did every song except for one of the new record. But they also did like 6 old Slayer songs. But he said it was songs that he wrote. He didn't want to do other songs that Jeff wrote or something like that, like Angel of Death, and said, no, I don't want these people out there complaining I didn't even write these songs, and he's doing them. So, no, I'm happy for the guy, man. I think they retired too young. I don't know why they did that. They were still in their mid-50s, and they go, this is it. Yeah. When you see these bands keep going and going, I think he definitely retired too young, and he's back out there. And, look, those offers for those festivals, with all these headliners slowly going away. Now I hear rumors that Linkin Park might get a female singer to front the band, so they'll be back to headlining all these festivals every year. So, they're supposed to put a lot of money on the table for Slayer. Look, I remember when Vinnie Paul was alive, he would say how much money that they were putting on the table to get Pantera to get back together with Phil. And he's like, I'm not doing it. No way. He said it's millions and millions to do like a summer tour and a few festivals. So, we'll see what happens, what they're going to do. But I'm sure they're going to get, next summer, there's going to be even more offers.
Well, that's the thing, Jim. I mean, obviously, Kerry's got to do press, for the new record, and he's doing a lot of it, which is great. And the record's really good. And I watched some of the footage they played this tiny club in Chicago called Reggie's, which I did with Anvil years in 2019. I would love to see those guys play in a club that small. But when people say these things in interviews, like when Kerry says it's definitely not going to lead to this, is not going to lead to that, that's, to me, that's him already negotiating for those things to happen. Geddy Lee saying in every interview, yeah, me and Alex we got together and jammed, and it felt really good, and it was good vibes there, but and to me that's like telegraphing it, like they float it out there so that the audience, so they can gauge the feedback from the crowd. Like, should we maybe go back out and do this again? I'm not saying to go out as Rush, but 100% guaranteed that Geddy and Alex will go out. That's why else would you say that in an interview? What, you're just saying, no, Rush is done. We're finished. It's never going to happen again. We're happy doing our own things. I love my life. I go watch the Toronto Blue Jays all year. It's baseball season. I'm out of the business. They float it out there so they can feel their fans out. Is it good feedback or is it bad feedback?
So you think Rush comes back with a new drummer, does a tour?
I'm not saying it's Rush. It's definitely Geddy and Alex. 100% will tour by 2025.
Well, they're gonna call it Rush. I mean, that's the promoters, just like with Pantera, the name. They want that name, so they're gonna call it Rush.
Well, yeah, I posted about it on Twitter or X, whatever. And
no, it's Twitter. Don't ever call it X. It's Twitter. And no one's gonna go, hey, don't say Twitter. It's X now. Come on.
What's cornier, saying I posted on X or I tweeted?
Well, yeah, we'll just say, yeah, it was on Twitter. But yeah, I mean,
no, Twitter's stupider than X. X is way better.
Yeah, but just you have to change it. You don't have to change the name, just like the Redskins. Which,
I agree.
with that. Yeah, we don't have to change the name. It's like
when I was on the radio in Cleveland plugging my shows a few weeks ago, I said the Cleveland Indians like 3 times, and the DJ was just rolling his eyes. I'm not calling him that other name. Sorry.
No, there's no way.
Right, and he still got me tickets, which was good. But yeah, I went to the Indians game. That's right, Cleveland. And I bought a Chief Wahoo shirt from a scalper after the show. So.
Oh, out in the parking lot, he had one.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, but
what were you saying originally?
About what?
I don't know. We just I interrupted you about the. You said you posted something on Twitter about Rush.
Yeah. About and it's it's kind of, look. I wasn't, not that I get a million responses, but I could kind of gauge. 50. It's about 50-50. They shouldn't do it, and then the other 50% also have suggestions. Mike Portnoy, Danny Carey. It's just kind of I think there's an acceptable group of drummers that people would say, okay, I can, if they go out as Rush with this drummer, with these few selected drummers, I'll go.
Well, look, when someone dies in the band, all bets are off. They can lay low for a couple of years, but if Neil just says, look, we said it was the last tour, I'm not going back out there, and then Alex and Geddy are like, no, I want to go back out, then you could piss the fans off. But when someone dies and they want to get back out there in a few years, you get another drummer. No one's going to be mad. And it's better to get an unknown drummer. Just get some young, unknown drummer that can pound those drums and just, play like Neil did. That's what they should do. They don't need a superstar back there. It'll be too weird. I think they just need when Sabbath got Tommy instead of a superstar drummer back there. Yeah, he almost looked like Bill Ward. Get someone that kind of looks like Neil Peart.
I'm just laughing because if Eddie was here, you'd get the whole story about the last name.
Yeah, well, I've said many a times you can't change your name halfway through your career. You should have shut that down your first interview in 1974 or whatever the fuck you joined the band, and said, no, it's Peart. What the fuck you saying Peart for? Peart shampoo.
Yeah, I can't be Don Jamieson now for today going forward. No one's buying it.
Yeah.
So. All right. Should we go to our interview? I have a pick. I have a death metal logo. We got a couple things we could still do, but we can get right to Wolf Hoffmann now if you want.
Yeah, let's get to Wolf, and then we'll do that shit on the other side.
Cool. So yeah,
After the interview.
Jim and I spoke to Wolf Hoffmann a couple of weeks ago from Accpet. It's a really good interview. I rewatched it last night. It's very fun. He's a funny guy, man.
Yeah.
So we enjoyed talking to Wolf. Of course, we'll talk about the new album and everything else, Udo and all kinds of stuff, how he's a robot and much more.
And then also they just announced, and announced a U.S. tour with KK's Priest. Them co-headlining starting in September, which is going to be a great lineup. Amazing. I know, it's going to be amazing. We saw them both on the Montreal cruise, this past cruise, but that's going to be great. So that's coming in September. I got tickets today for KK's Priest with Accpet at the Whisky. Wow, they're playing the Whisky. That'd be a great place to see them.
Do not miss that one if you're in California. My God, to see both those bands in that tiny place, holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
All right, so we'll play the Wolf Hoffmann interview. I don't know, it's like 15, 20 minutes, somewhere around there probably. And then we'll come back on the other end live. So there's a pre-taped interview, so and we'll be back in a little bit.
Yeah. Everybody, we are here with our guest, and we're so excited to have a founding member and original guitarist of Accpet, Wolf Hoffmann, to talk about the new album and much more. It's called Humanoid, out April 26th. Did you think in the year 2024, Wolf, that you would still not only be putting out music, but really, really excellent new music?
Absolutely did I think that, because I'm a robot myself. I just keep cranking them up. I'm German and a robot, and therefore very dependable.
And now you're a Nashville robot.
That's right. I've emigrated. I'm,
Well, I think I did some research. I think this is the 16th studio album for you with Accpet.
16, or somebody said 17. I haven't actually had the time to even count them yet, but that sounds about right.
You think you can hit 20?
Absolutely. Hey, man, we're just getting started. Oops, there's my headphones.
Well, we saw you on the Monsters of Rock cruise, and
Yes.
I would say the same. If you're playing at this level still after all these years, I can see no end in sight whatsoever. I mean, you guys are maybe even better than ever.
I'd like to think so, and I think we're still in the middle of it. I mean, we have a lot of fun at what we do, and I mean, why shouldn't we keep going? There's really no reason. The audience is still out there. They still love what we do. And the days are gone where you thought you had to stop at a certain age, right? I mean, we're actually, compared to some other guys, we're still quite young, as odd as that sounds. I've been in Accpet almost 50 years. And, to think of myself as young is kind of weird, but there you go.
And so you guys aren't going to do a farewell tour and then stop and then come back a year later like every other band.
Not anytime soon, no.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a little of an advantage because we've done in the 90s, we called it quits once, and there was a bit of a farewell tour then. So I've done all that,
Yeah.
I've done my farewell tours. I don't need another one. I'm just going to keep going until I drop dead on stage. That's my goal.
Well,
I have it all worked out. I want to be like mid to late 80s, and I want to jump off the drum riser. I want to have a heart attack in midair and come down, and the flying V buries me on stage, and the curtain falls, and that's my ending in front of everybody. How was that?
That'd be an amazing ending.
Yeah, but you can't kill a robot, so it's not going to happen.
Well, there's that. So we'll have to see.
You might rust in the middle of a show or something, but
don't leave me out in the rain then.
Yeah. It's funny. I just saw something that you said in an interview that I thought was really interesting. In the early days of Accpet, you were sort of hesitant to be labeled as heavy metal. And, if you really think about it and you go back to this beauty right here.
Oh my God. Yeah.
As much as we love this, it really wasn't, you didn't have the heavy metal tone sort of, down pat, the sound, that razor sharp metallic edge that you've become known for. But in the early days, it wasn't quite there yet.
No, it wasn't, because we were still in the infancy, and we were influenced by rock bands from Britain, like Deep Purple and Judas Priest and Uriah Heep and bands like, even Status Quo, bands like that were early influences. And we didn't really know where we belong. So we basically had to try this, try that until maybe the Breaker album. And then certainly with Restless and Wild, we sort of figured out this feels right. This is where we belong. And then all of a sudden people started calling it heavy metal. The term didn't exist when we got started. It was definitely it was hard rock. Everything was hard rock. There was no metal. And then initially I remember thinking, is this good? Are they making fun of us? Heavy metal? It sounded like oversimplified, almost like a little demeaning, until we got used to it. And then we thought, well, hell yeah, if anybody is heavy metal in Germany, it's probably us. Because there was always the Scorpions, but they were always more rock than metal. More radio friendly. They had radio hits and ballads and things. And we never really did much of that. We always were more on the heavier side of things. So heavy metal at some point felt good. It said, heck yeah, we're heavy metal. Hell yeah.
Did you guys get compared to the Scorpions a lot early on in the career? Because you guys both from Germany?
We did, and only because only they were the first band to ever break out of Germany. And here's another one, except we're always the other band out of Germany for a long time. I think this was way back when, Yeah.
Do you think had Udo stayed in the band, do you think that you'd still be sort of progressing and flourishing like you are? This is not a slam on Udo, but it's more of like I kind of feel like maybe in a weird way Mark injected some new life into this band, and also some of the other new members that you've had in now over the years.
Yeah, it's hard to say nobody knows what would have been and could have been because it's all hypothetical. But I know since we are with Mark and since we are with Andy Sneap and since our rebirth in 2009, this has been a more stable and more satisfying and more productive period in Accpet's career and in my life than I ever thought possible. Because even back in the 80s, there was a lot of ups and downs and coming and going and leaving but I think ever since we're with Mark, we found our marching direction and we go straight forward. And that is, I'm very happy about that because it feels like a very solid stretch of our career.
What were you thinking, like before Blood of Nations, there was a lot of time where you guys didn't put anything out. You guys weren't together, the band and everything. What were you thinking then? Did you think that maybe I can make this comeback and I'm going to be 6-7 albums in?
I never thought of any of that. I was basically out of the music world. I was out of music. I didn't have any ambition. It was none of that. I always thought it would be nice if there was a possibility, but since it was out of the question with Udo, so then I thought, okay, maybe we had a nice run and that was it. That's when I walked away from music for many years. And it all changed when we met Mark one day. And then we thought, well, hello, he sounds too good to be true. And he sounds like a perfect fit. Why don't we give it another go? Because we don't have any other option. It's either that or nothing. And so we gave it all we've got, and the rest, the result is that album.
So you weren't even playing when you said you basically out of the music business. You weren't playing, writing riffs or anything like that.
None of it. No, wow. I hadn't even touched the guitar in years. I could still play, of course. You never really lose it completely, but I was quite rusty. Because I've always thought, what's the point in just writing music if there's no outlet? I always need a reason to do stuff. And that's when I get that's when I get active. But I don't sit there writing songs that just live in a drawer or on a hard drive. If I have that's not very inspiring, So I've never done that. But when we've found Mark, then all of a sudden it all changed right away.
Well, we being from New Jersey, the three of us. Yeah, we knew he was the guy before you knew he was the guy because we used to sing.
Well, you could have called me earlier.
We saw him singing Accpet songs back in the 80s in cover bands.
Yeah, that's a miracle in itself. I mean, it's crazy. We found the one guy that was out there, like a hidden jewel,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's great how it all came together in the end. It's beautiful. It really is. If you think about it, who would? I mean, especially as we all know how difficult it is to change lead singers because they are the voice of the band, and everybody had, we've talked about this before, that when we first announced it to the world, there was a lot of backlash, and people all had an opinion why it wouldn't work, and it's never going to work, and oh my God, it was brutal. But then maybe that inspired us even more to, to have this attitude. We'll show you. We'll just buckle down and write the best songs we can, and that's what Blood of the Nations became.
Well, you made a modern classic, right out of the gate, which obviously must have been thrilling. You mentioned Andy Sneap. Talk about what he brings to your guys' sound and how you work with him in terms of him being your producer.
It's funny. Every interview I talk about Andy. He should really give me some kickback here because it's funny. No, I mean, Andy sort of approached us back then in 2009 because he had heard through the grapevine through a mutual friend that we were thinking about making another album. And it turns out he was a Accpet fan as a kid and still a big metal and rock fan and an amazing producer, of course. So we started working together and we never looked back because it is the perfect fit for us. He really understands what kind of songs we should do, what kind of stuff we should not do, what sound we need. And it's really, he's sort of a guiding hand from the very beginning of the whole song creation process. He's the one that I played my first demos to, and he's the one who mixes and till the any, he's the man. He mixes everything and gets us a great sound. So never change a winning team, man.
Yeah.
Wolf, what was your first tour in the United States with Accpet? I know you opened for Kiss, but that was a Balls to the Wall tour. You were here before that, right?
No, that was the first ever tour for Accpet.
Oh, it was?
In the United States, which was huge for us because at that point we had never played in arenas. We had never been to America. We just played in and around Germany and some neighboring countries like Holland and France. And those were usually good gigs, but nowhere on the level that, we experienced with Kiss. And all of a sudden everything, it was like tractor trailers and forklifts and, that whole monstrosity of a production. And we were like, whoa, wide-eyed little kids from Germany.
How did you guys go over with the Kiss audience? Because sometimes they can be tough on the opening bands.
We fought like hell, and I think we won them over just about every night. But I remember it being tough. There was a lot of crossed arms initially and a lot of people still coming in from the merch booth while we were playing. But usually towards the end of the show, we always got them to sing along and arms in the air. So I think we won them over just about every night. But I remember it being tough. They were like, Kiss fans are, a tough crowd. I know that.
How about these days, Wolf? I mean, obviously, you guys are a big global band. Where are the hot spots now for Accpet, and where do you see your biggest fan base?
Probably in Europe and South America is a very good market for us too. I mean, those fans down there are like crazy, and we love playing there just because it's an amazing vibe. Yeah, so I'd say South America and Europe is very strong. Still, we want to build back up in the US and we have a tour plan for later this year. But, we've sort of been out of the American market for a bit too long. So hopefully we can build it back up a bit.
Do you still switch the set list where, pretending where you are, like if you're in South America compared to the United States and all that, do you switch up the songs? Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, but to tell you the truth, there's so many similarities. I mean, there's a bunch of songs we always play, and there's only so much room to switch around. I'm actually lately thinking we're at this point now with Mark and these last 6 albums that we could start playing shows with just new material. Well, that might be a bit of fun.
Yeah. No, you guys have a good mix. You guys have a good mix in the set list. Probably 60, 70% new, 30% old, 30, 40%, which is perfect.
Yeah. And so far it's been always working really well. But there's people keep asking about, hey man, why don't you do shows with like just new songs? Because I mean, there's a lot of good new songs that we don't get to play just because we always, focus on so much old stuff. I guess it depends on the occasion. Like right now in the summer, we're going to do a bunch of summer festivals, and obviously at these festivals, there's a bunch of, the majority are not even Accpet fans. They're just for whoever is there, and it's a mix of people. So you can't really do deep cuts, and you try to sort of play the hits and get out of the way.
Yeah.
But if we do headline shows later on, I would love to do shows like that maybe in the near future.
Well, I remember me and Don went and saw you guys on I think the first show you did in America with Mark at the Gramercy Theater in New York. You guys played like 2 hours and 40 minutes. It was one of the best concerts I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that show vividly because, I mean, I hadn't been on stage in a long time at that point. And it's like, yeah, we were all quite nervous. You always think like, do I still have it? Can I still do this? Or am I going to make a fool of myself? And then you get out there and it's like within a minute or two, it's like, oh, this feels like home.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. Hey, is there a different creative process working with Mark as opposed to Udo, or do you sort of have this? Is it a precision thing now, where you kind of have this down to a science?
We found our way of working. We definitely have, and I think on these last two albums, last few albums, maybe we spend more and more time on the vocals with Mark, and that is a good thing because luckily he's very open to go over and start working on little nuances, which we haven't always done in the past. Like a lot of times, we make the playbacks and then we get one shot at the lead vocals and it is what it is, and trying to improve or trying to work on it can be a bit of an ordeal because it's finished and I don't know, singers are not always so happy to go back and do it again just because you feel like it should be a little different. But luckily Mark has been really open lately, and he's really been I think it improved everything a lot, because to me vocals are the most important part of a song. You can have the greatest riff and the greatest backing tracks and all that stuff, but really the vocals are what most people focus on. Guitar solos are important too, but really it's all about the vocals at the end of the day. And if you just sometimes switch the line around a little bit or come up with a different inflection or different pattern, sometimes different words, that makes a huge difference, much bigger than, I don't know, a drum sound or something in my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all important at the end of the day. I don't want to say anything is not important, but it's really, a lot of it is about the vocals. So when you get it right and when you tweak it a little more and a little more and a little more, then it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, we should say at the time that this is airing, there will be two singles available to the public, and that's Humanoid, which is the first single off the record, which is the title track, and The Reckoning, which is, I mean, that's got to be a mandatory live song. That song is just crushing. So people haven't heard those songs or seen the videos, check them out. And of course, make sure you pick up Humanoid, out April the 26th. Jim, you got anything else?
No, I think that's about it. In the past, the future, what's coming. I know Wolf said, the United States, a tour maybe later in the year, it looks like, which is good because you're not in the U.S. states.
That's right. And we're going to have a lot of European dates. Actually, we have, I think, we have the most busy touring schedule this year, maybe ever. It's crazy. It's really going to be quite a grueling schedule, but it's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, we'll leave you with this. So since you've lived now in Nashville for a number of years, we still haven't heard any country influence come into.
And you never will. You never will, my friend.
Well, maybe
I
we'll hear
can't
more
do
metal.
country.
Maybe we'll hear more metal in country since you've been down there.
Exactly. That's more likely, but I don't think you'll hear much country twang in our music. I can't even play that. So I don't know how they do it. I can't, all that guitaring thing chicken picking. What is it called? I can't do that. Forget it.
Yeah.
I do what I do, and see, because I'm a robot. See?
There you go.
And you do it well. But
Yeah.
we love it. I mean, 16th studio album by Accpet coming out April 26th. Humanoid. You guys got to get it, check it out. And if you've never seen Accpet live, or you haven't seen him in a while, go see him again. And we saw you twice on the Monster Rock Cruise. You did the 2 sets, and both were crushing. Awesome. The crowds were going crazy. I just love being in the crowd and just people that maybe haven't seen you guys. Like, holy shit, this is amazing.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you, Wolf.
Thanks, Wolf. I appreciate it.
Best of luck.
Nice talking with you.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
I'll see you soon. Take it easy.
Wow. I mean, just talking to that guy, I remember, as a kid getting the Accpet Breaker record and just playing that constantly when I was in high school. It was so fucking good and so heavy. And
my screen froze up, so I don't know if people can see me or hear me, but
yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, but it's just like talking to that guy. That's how long I've been a fan. Then I remember when Restless and Wild came out, I was hanging out at Johnny Z's house because he had the Rock and Roll Heaven in Old Bridge, New Jersey. He used to get the import records in. I remember going to his house. He goes, "Man, this new Accpet record is weird." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Oh man, I got to put it on. You got to listen to this, man. I don't know what they're doing now." And they were like one of my favorite bands at the time. And they put on Fast as a Shark because that was the opening track on the album.
yeah.
And, you hear that high D, high do. I'm like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, it was unbelievable. I'll never forget it. I don't remember where I was when I met my ex-wife, but I remember where I was when I heard Fast as a Shark.
That's a pretty consistent thing in both our lives and probably Eddie's, where we'll remember the specifics about concerts, but yeah, wives, girlfriends, kids, birth dates, none of that stuff. But I could tell you the date that I saw, Iron Maiden for the first time.
I remember when Blizzard of Oz was only out on import because it was out in England for like 5 months before it came out in America. And I saw an ad in I think it was like Kerrang! Magazine or Sounds newspaper, and me and my brother ordered at this import store in Florida. I just remember going to pick it up. They said the album's in, and we saw it behind a counter. Then we saw that cover, the Blizzard of Oz cover. We're like, holy shit! Look at that cover, Ozzy holding a cross.
Yeah.
Holy! And I just remember that, bringing that home and listening to that, and like, god damn, this is good.
Yeah. And Accpet still, like we said, Accpet still putting out great albums, and yeah, that Blood of the Nations, man, that's just a modern classic, no doubt about it.
Yeah, that was the first one back with Mark on vocals.
Cool. So everyone pick up Humanoid, and I have another record that I was going to give a plug to if we have a couple minutes.
We do.
So I've been a big fan of these guys for the last couple albums. They're originally from Australia, but
Rose Tattoo.
Them too, yeah. And we're going to see them again on the Monsters of Rock cruise, right?
Yeah.
So Angry Anderson lives on, which is amazing because that guy lives the real rock and roll life, as we know. But these guys are, I think these guys live in Europe. I think they moved to Europe so that they could work more. There's only so much you can do in Australia, but they're called Destroyer 666. And their new album is called Never Surrender. And Joe, if we could put there we go. So this is my pick, That Rocks. And there it is. Never Surrender. How to describe them? It's like very heavy thrash. Eddie would probably say that they're death metal, but they're really not. I mean, this is just as Kerry King stuff is sort of just as heavy as what this is. Maybe with just a little bit more of an aggressive vocal on this, but this is the newest album. And it says, these outlaws from down under deliver another pummeling and relentless lesson in aggression. So it's a furious assault of black thrash, chainsaw riffs, and war-like drums, offering no moment of reprisal as it rages on for 40 unyielding minutes. That's a pretty good description. So that's my pick. I don't know if you have one, but that's mine.
No, I don't have one, but I like that the album's 40 minutes. Doesn't have to be 50. Doesn't have to be over 63 minutes of music. Give me your best 40. That's it.
10 songs. No album by any band ever needs to have more than 10 songs.
It should. It really should be 10. Save it for the next record that you're going to do.
Hope you saved it.
You know, you record 14 songs, you got 4 for the next one. Or you could rework those songs for the next time. Just put the best 10. That's it.
And trust me, those other 4 songs are not good enough to be on the album.
Right, but they might be okay for filler for the next album, possibly, or maybe you could rework them in a couple of years and make them better.
Right. No, exactly, Jim. That's a good point. But, you know, Ozzy, 8 songs on Bark of the Moon, done.
Yeah, or maybe, you know, they had a song that was kind of similar to one on that, and they couldn't put both of them on.
Yeah.
So you put it on the next 2-3 years, you put another record out, and people don't know that's kind of the same riff.
Yeah. Cool. You want to do the death metal logo, or you want to do that in the member show?
Yeah, we could do it here. I'm not gonna get it. I have no clue, but yeah, let's do it.
No, this one
I could barely make out your name above your head.
It's a Motorhead font.
Yeah, I know. Oh, wait a second.
What?
It's like a 2-stage something or scab. Zoo, scab, stab.
Zoo scab?
I think that middle is stab, S-T-A-B. And it
You
looks,
think so, huh? Is that what you really think? I'll give you a hint. There's a number in it.
Maybe there's a 5.
Maybe. These guys just got signed to Metal Blade Records, which I'm really excited about because they will be our label mates now. And I liked them before Metal Blade, so you know they're going to kick ass on that label.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue what that is.
200 stab wounds.
Okay, yeah, I was like zoo, stab. Yeah, it was close.
Then wounds down there, yeah.
I couldn't read the wounds. I see like a W. Yeah, now I see the O, U. I don't see the N. I see the S. Okay, but I saw stab right away.
And
I'm getting
album,
better.
Yeah, you're getting there. You didn't have Luke. Luke's a big help when you do these. Manual Manic Procedures is the new album. There is a single out called Hands of Eternity. 200 stab wounds. If you love death metal like I do, they are a great up-and-coming band.
Where did they get the name from? OJ?
Yeah. Someone asked him why 200 stab wounds, and the guy said, because 100 wasn't enough and 300 was too much.
I like that. That's a great original name. There's no way. They didn't have to Google it to see if someone had that name.
No.
You know, usually got to do it, make sure the copyright, trademark, and shit. You didn't have to even look that one up. Nobody thought of 200 stab wounds in the name of a band. That's fucking great. I love that name.
Yeah. So, all right, man. You got any plugs?
Yeah, I'll be in Milwaukee coming up next weekend. I'll be in Milwaukee, Phoenix, Boca Raton, Florida, Albany, New York, and Providence, Rhode Island in the next month or so. JimFlorentine.com for all tour dates. Check out my show on SiriusXM every Thursday. Oh, we'll be airing it a little bit. 5 o'clock Eastern, Ozzy's Boneyard, Channel 38. 2-hour show repeats over the weekend. So I'm featuring the new Accpet record on this week's show. So
Good.
If you don't listen to it now, you can listen to it on the replay.
Yes. And I'll be heading out the door, going to see, I'll do that when I'm back on. My vinyl pre-sale is live. Maybe Joe could put the link in the show description. It's No Sleep to McSorley's. There it is. Oh, my goodness. Available in light and dark ale colored vinyl, just like the delicious ale that you drink when you go to McSorley's. I will be in a couple of weeks here in New Jersey at the Comedy Cove in Springfield, New Jersey. There you go, May the 24th. It's a great room, Jim, because you play there.
Mm-hmm.
And the next night is, in fact, you got me in there, so thank you. And May the 25th, the next night, I am opening for some tribute bands, including the Alice in Chains tribute Facelift, featuring the singer, a singer that you know very well, Jim, Travis Bracht from Second Coming is now the singer in Facelift, and you and me are the only ones who know those names.
Yeah.
But trust me, when you hear this guy's voice in a tiny little club like Dingbats, you're going to lose your friggin' mind because he's unbelievable.
Yeah, and Second Coming was out of Seattle, right?
Yep.
Yep.
They made the best They made the best album in the grunge era, that whole Seattle era that nobody knows about. The band's called Second Coming. I think the album's just called Second Coming. If you could find it, it's unreal. This guy's voice is insane. And we found out a few years ago that Travis is actually a big fan of ours. So I'm excited to be on the same bill with him, and he is with me. And leaving right after this to go see my boys in Amon Amarth. If you could see is the jersey up yet? There we go.
Nice.
Got my Amon Amarth hockey jersey. So we'll see everybody at the Wellmont in New Jersey who are watching this live tonight on Thursday. And that's all I have.
All right. We'll be back next week, next Wednesday. Marty Friedman live. What time is it? 8 or 9 o'clock? Something?
9 p.m. Eastern time. And it'll be all live, Marty, from Japan. And we'll see what kind of new technological problems we can have with somebody coming in via Zoom from Japan. I'm sure nothing will go wrong.
And Eddie Trunk will be joining us next week. He'll be available, so that'll be good. Us three will be back together. So check that out next week and join our membership, because we do an after show. So we're going to do an after show today. The link is right under the video, right, Joe? If I'm not mistaken, to join.
Yep, just click join. It's below the video.
You join, you get extra, you get all the episodes, and we do, a whole like after show, almost like the Stern Show does, the wrap up show. So we do that right after. You ask us questions, all that shit. So come join us. We're going to be up there in a couple minutes. We'll be doing that. If not, we'll see you next week on May 15th, 9 p.m. Eastern, live. Me, Don, Eddie Trunk, and Marty Friedman from Japan.
Yeah. Thanks for all the comments, too. There's a million funny ones in there. So thank you, guys. And we'll see you later.